Ever catch yourself on autopilot? You know, your thoughts are just racing, or maybe emotions are swirling in ways you didn't consciously choose.
Yeah, happens to everyone, I think.
Totally. So what if you could actually step into the driver's seat of your own mind, guide your inner world with like real intention and clarity? That's the fascinating possibility we're exploring today.
hmm And our source for this journey inward is uh, quite unique. It's a spiritual discourse called The Morning Murli from January 18th, 2005.
Right.
It comes from Bob Dada, and it's addressed to individuals referred to as lucky and lovely children. Now, while it's definitely rooted in a specific spiritual context, the core principles here, I think, really speak to that universal desire for self-mastery.
Exactly. Our aim in this deep dive is to unpack the central message for you, the listener, this idea of achieving liberation in life. What does that actually mean?
Good question.
How do we break free from what the text calls body consciousness and maybe even become someone who helps others find this same inner freedom? It's about tapping into something, well, pretty profound, unlocking your own inner potential, maybe.
Yeah, accessing those godly treasures,
Yeah.
as the text puts it. And the discourse starts by laying a really powerful foundation centered on godly love.
Godly love. Okay.
It presents this love as the fundamental connection between these children and the Father, suggesting this love itself creates belonging and easily leads to victory, success. Yeah.
That's a different way of thinking about love, isn't it? Not just a feeling, but almost like an active force, something
Right.
that brings us together and empowers us.
Precisely.
And there's this image of a garland of love offered in the early morning, the Amrit Vela. It paints a picture of a very intimate, maybe transformative relationship with this divine love. Have you ever felt that kind of connection to something larger that feels inherently supportive?
That feeling of profound connection is absolutely key here. And what's particularly striking, I think, is the introduction of what's called the golden key to unlocking these inner resources, these treasures.
A golden key. What is it?
It's actually a simple phrase, my Baba.
My Baba.
Yes. The discourse explains that by using these words internally, an individual can instantly claim access to spiritual attainments and, well, inner power.
My Baba. It sounds so personal, almost like a password or something, not just a title, but presented as this immediate link to inner strength, spiritual wealth. For you listening, maybe think of it like a personal mantra, an affirmation that instantly grounds you, reminds you of your inner resources.
Exactly. It's about establishing that direct personal relationship and the inherent strengths that come with it.
Yeah.
This foundation then leads into a discussion about responsibility and service.
Okay, which takes us to this day of remembrance and how it links to a coronation day. January 18th seems significant then, a time to remember someone called Adi Dev, Father Brahma. What's his significance in this context?
Right, Father Brahma is seen as a really pivotal figure, and on this specific day, he's depicted as being particularly pleased by the Brahmin children. That's those following the spiritual path.
Mm-hmm.
The discourse even refers to each of them, each listener, as being one out of a million fortunate children, which really emphasizes a sense of unique value and purpose, you know.
1 in a million.
Wow. And there's this idea of a star of fortune shining on your forehead.
Yeah.
It's a powerful symbol of that inherent worth.
That's a beautiful image, isn't it? Like a constant reminder of your potential. And then connecting this day of remembrance with the coronation day, it's like recognizing not just a past figure, but also stepping into a role ourselves. What exactly is this crown of responsibility of world service?
Well, it signifies a commitment to using your inner strengths, those attainments we mentioned, for the benefit of others. The discourse mentions willing the children, the will powers in the corporeal form, which sounds like a direct transmission of spiritual energy and encouragement.
Okay, like passing on the ability.
Sort of, yeah. It's the idea that by embodying these principles, the children, the followers, effectively demonstrate the teachings of the Father. You know, son shows father, as the text says. And the pleasure that Father Brahma apparently derives from seeing individuals acting as instruments of altruistic world service really highlights the purpose behind receiving this crown.
This idea of being an instrument keeps coming up. It seems pretty central to this whole concept of liberation in life. The discourse states it quite directly, doesn't it? Something like, Karankar Vanhar Father is making me a Kanhar soul do it. I, this soul, am an instrument.
Yes, exactly that phrase. Karan Karvanhar, meaning the one who acts through others, and Karanhar, the one who does, the instrument soul.
So what's the power in adopting that perspective? Why is being an instrument so important?
This principle is presented as a direct antidote to the ego, to what's called body consciousness. The text suggests that when you truly feel like an instrument, it naturally fosters humility. It diminishes that feeling of, I am the doer, which is seen as a major source of, well, limitations and obstacles in this Brahmin life.
So that constant inner chatter of me, myself, and I did this, or I have to do that, that's the body consciousness they're talking about, and it's seen as a real roadblock.
That's the gist of it, yeah.
It makes sense. By shifting our perspective to being an instrument of something larger, maybe we can experience more freedom. Have you ever noticed how when you're really absorbed in a task, or maybe helping someone else, your own worries seem to just fade away?
Exactly. It feels like a similar principle is at play here. This leads to liberation from that self-focused consciousness and unlocks what's described as the alokik bliss of the confluence age.
Alokik bliss, confluence age. Okay, can you unpack those a bit?
Sure, alokik means non-worldly or subtle, divine. So a unique kind of happiness. And the confluence age refers to this specific time period in their cosmology, believed to be a special time for spiritual transformation. So it's about accessing a unique spiritual joy available now.
Got it. A special kind of bliss accessible right now.
And the analogy used for this state is beautiful. Father Brahma himself is likened to a lotus, detached and loving, while still engaging with, immense responsibilities.
Ah, the lotus flower. Rooted in the mud, but the blossom stays pristine, right? It perfectly illustrates that idea of being present in the world, handling things, but not being weighed down by negativity or attachment.
Precisely. And the reference to Brahma being depicted on a lotus in wider devotional traditions really connects this specific teaching to a broader spiritual understanding. It gives it context.
Makes sense.
And the discourse really emphasizes that this experience of liberation in life isn't some far-off goal you might achieve someday. It's presented as an inheritance, something to be claimed right now in this life.
An inheritance, I like that.
And that makes each person capable of being a master bestower, someone who can actually gift this state of inner freedom to others.
Okay, so you experience it yourself and then you can share it. And the way to become this master bestower is by becoming free from body consciousness in an instant. That sounds, well, quite a feat. How does the discourse suggest we achieve such a rapid inner transformation?
It uses a very relatable analogy, actually. Think about the immediate control we have over our physical body. If you decide to move your hand, it just happens, right? Instantly. The aim is to cultivate that same level of immediate command over your thoughts and feelings, over your mind.
That question it poses really makes you pause and think. Can you direct your mind to specific places it mentions Mathuban, which is their headquarters, or the subtle region, the incorporeal world? Can you go there mentally instantaneously?
Right. It immediately highlights the often chaotic, sort of uncontrolled nature of our inner dialogue for most of us. Our minds wander.
Definitely. Mine certainly does.
So it underscores the need for consistent practice. Practicing concentration, in mental stability, and achieving freedom from that inner turmoil or upheaval.
Which connects directly to that old saying, doesn't it? Those who conquer their minds conquer the world.
It does, while also acknowledging just how easily the mind can wander off or even mislead us. It's not always our best friend if untrained.
True. It can be quite deceptive sometimes.
So this brings in the idea of a day of power, perhaps this Remembrance Day itself, and the importance of checking in with our mind control practices, not just when we're sitting quietly meditating, but while we're actively engaged in our daily lives.
Ah, okay. So practice while doing things, not just in isolation, bringing that inner mastery into our interactions and actions.
Exactly that. The power of concentration is presented as the foundation. If you can concentrate, you can then develop the power of determination, and that ultimately leads to success, achieving our goals, both inner spiritual goals and outer worldly ones.
Concentration leads to determination, leads to success. Makes sense.
And the discourse actually reiterates that ancient wisdom. Those whose minds are defeated by the world, whereas those whose minds gain victory over the world. It puts the mind right at the center.
It really does. And this whole process of mastering the mind, it's framed as homework, isn't it? Particularly for the new year around the time this was spoken.
Yes, homework. It encourages listeners to be both the contemplative yogi and the experimental prayogi, someone who actively tests and applies these principles in their own experience. Not just believe it, but try it.
Yogi and prayogi. I like that. The thinker and the doer combined.
Then the discourse shifts tone slightly. It acknowledges the connection from the children to Babdada, receiving loving heart-to-heart conversations, even complaints of love, and seeing their zeal and enthusiasm to become equal to the divine ideal.
So it's acknowledging the feedback, their relationship.
Exactly. It emphasizes this two-way flow of love and remembrance. It's not just instructions coming down, it's a relationship.
That makes it feel more dynamic, I suppose. And then comes this powerful and very direct call to action. Turn yourself, transform yourself. That's pretty unambiguous.
It really is. It's an active invitation to take charge of your inner landscape, to make a change.
And the sense of urgency seems quite clear, too. The message is to fully manifest your best self, your perfect form on the stage of life, you know. And the reason is quite profound. In order to alleviate suffering and bring an end to inner and outer conflict, sorrow, and peacelessness.
It links personal transformation directly to world benefit. Become a beacon of peace yourself first.
There's a real sense of responsibility woven in there, isn't there? Not just to transform ourselves, but then to actively guide others towards the light, as it says. Fueled by compassion, mercy, and a genuine desire to help.
Absolutely. Enthusiasm and mercy are highlighted. And the encouragement to look at the unlimited and cast your vision onto the unlimited that suggests expanding our perspective beyond just our own small worries or limitations. Think bigger picture.
Look at the unlimited.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the homework reminder comes back.
It does. Yes. This time with a rather enticing promise of a prize for those who can maintain complete mind control for an entire month.
A prize? What kind of prize, does it say?
It doesn't specify, which makes it even more intriguing perhaps. It seems like a playful way to encourage consistent effort and focus on that mind mastery homework.
A bit of gamification, maybe. And there's mention of specific spiritual groups, the Pandavas and Shaktis.
Yes, these are terms used within the Brahma Kumaris tradition, often referring to male and female groups respectively, who are dedicated practitioners. They're encouraged here to increase their speed of transformation.
Why the emphasis on speed?
The reasoning given is altruistic. The faster individuals transform themselves, the sooner the suffering of others can be eased. There's this beautiful image used putting a canopy of mercy over souls, collective compassion and support through individual effort.
A canopy of mercy. That's lovely. Wow. Okay, then the focus shifts slightly again to double foreigners.
Yes, double foreigners. It's explained as those who are, well, doubling their efforts and moving at double the speed spiritually. Often, this term referred to practitioners from outside India who embraced the path.
Ah, I see. And they're recognized as world benefactors?
And the importance of genuine sincerity, having an honest heart, is highlighted as what pleases the truth, meaning God. Their role in spreading the message across different countries, different cultures, is also acknowledged. It shows the global reach.
Right, and connected to that global aspect, there's a mention of Gayan Sarovar, celebrating its 10th anniversary around that time.
That's right, Gayan Sarovar, the Academy for a Better World at their headquarters. Its role in disseminating the spiritual sound or message and fostering joy and peace among visitors is celebrated. It underscores the significance of having these physical centers.
Okay, makes sense. A place for learning and experiencing.
And then, near the very end, the discourse includes a practical element. A brief guided exercise for stabilizing the mind, led by Babdada, a moment of shared practice.
So theory and practice combined right in the message.
Yes. Followed by blessings extended to loving souls everywhere, specifically mentioning those who embody mercy, practice mind control, and actually experience that inner liberation in life.
It brings it back to those core themes. And the final blessing is quite specific too, isn't it? May you become the merciful children of the merciful Father and show everyone their destination.
Emphasizing the importance of offering the water of the Father's introduction, which implies sharing this knowledge, this understanding of the divine, as a way to quench spiritual thirst and guide others.
Offering the water. Okay, and then there's a slogan.
Yes, the easy meaning of an accurate attitude of disinterest is to be as loving as you are detached.
Loving and detached. That's a powerful paradox, isn't it? Like the lotus flower again, a key to navigating the world with both compassion and inner peace, perhaps.
I think that's exactly the implication. It's a central tenet. And finally, there's something called the Aviact signal.
Okay, what's the signal?
It's about remaining victorious by constantly maintaining the awareness of the combined form, I and my Baba, the individual soul and the divine working together. Understanding that in Karavanhar, the ultimate actor, with the father and the children, the instruments, are combined in the task.
So a sense of constant partnership and support. You're never really alone in the effort.
That seems to be the core message of the signal. a feeling of empowerment and shared purpose.
Wow. Okay, that was quite a journey through that morning, Murli. So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, what resonated most with you, our listener? What aspects of, gaining control over your mind or this whole idea of finding liberation in life, what sparked your curiosity?
For me, I think it's that emphasis on the practical integration. Taking these, quite high spiritual principles and applying them in everyday living. It's not just abstract philosophy. It's about developing a tangible mastery over our inner state while we're living our lives.
Yeah, that practicality is key, isn't it? Not just meditating on a cushion, but being that way out in the world. That's a powerful takeaway. And it leaves me with this final thought for you to ponder. If you could truly master your mind, just like the discourse suggests is possible, what's one treasure? Maybe a quality, a skill, a way of being. What's the first treasure you would want to unlock within yourself?
Good question.
And how might unlocking that one thing fundamentally shift how you experience your reality and maybe how you connect with the people around you on a deeper level? Definitely something worth exploring further in your own reflections, I think.